Welcome back. The state rests in Michigan versus Pinckney. You just saw Lizette Monique Cherry testifying, giving an animated account of what occurred when her son was shot. It was some of the most compelling testimony of the prosecution's case. But let's look at the testimony overall. I'm pleased to be joined by in-session law enforcement contributor Mike Brooks and criminal defense attorney Joanna Greenwald.
Hello.
And let's talk. How you doing, Joanna? Mike, let's talk about this case. Now, first, I want to go into Lizette Monique Cherry and play another highlight for you guys. Because the victim's grandmother's testimony was also a big part of this. Minnie Cherry testified she witnessed the shooting from her home and shared with her daughter, that she shared with her daughter and grandson. Take a look at this testimony.
And I looked around, I looked out in the field, and here I see Jamar Pinckney's daddy. And I'm still on the phone, 911, explaining to her that someone need to get over, this man has a gun. He pulls the gun out and aimed it. And I couldn't believe it. I said, no, I'm in shock. And I heard the gun go off. He pulled it out and just aimed it. I can't believe what's going on. I'm in shock. I said, man, would you send the police over here? He stood there a while after he shot him, stood over, looked, and walked calmly and got in his car.
Now, Mike Brooks, I hear that. It's the last part that really concerns me in terms of the prosecution's case and the trouble that the defense might have here. Because it's he shot and he stood there and walked calmly over to his car. Question about that, but first I want to play this testimony from LaTanya Prather. She's the friend of the victim's mother. She was also on the scene the day of the shooting, and she was talking about what Mike just talked about. She picked up Lizette Monique Cherry's phone when Pinckney Sr. called by accident. You got to listen to this conversation. Take a listen.
There's two requests to say, ask for Quran.
Yes.
You interpreted it as a request for Lizette's younger son.
Yes.
What does Jamar Pinckney, the caller, next say?
Babe, I took care of that.
What?
Babe, I took care of that.
How do you respond to that?
What? Because I didn't know what he was talking about.
And then does he say anything else?
He repeated it, but I still didn't know what he was talking about. And I said, this is Monique's phone. And then he hung up. And I looked at the phone, and I was like, Jamar just called your phone.
Babe, I took care of it?
Yeah, I took care of that.
All right, Joanna, hold up that sign again. Did you just have a sign right at the end? Let me see that. What does that say? What does that say?
Know.
It says super objection. Okay, objection.
Yes,
go ahead. Tell me what you think.
We have objection, but this is at the level of super objection.
Okay, why?
And I actually have a sign because it's a Superman objection here. Why? Because the first thing we heard of our first witness, they talked about a 911 tape. And as we're following this trial, the 911 tapes are missing.
Yeah.
So as a defense attorney, how can I properly defend my client when I don't have those 911 tapes? Once she started talking that she was on the phone, talking and speaking to the police, as I spoke earlier about talking to the police and calling the police when we're in danger, calling with 911. If that was missing, automatically should have stood up, said, super objection, mistrial, I move for a mistrial.
But do you think he actually would have gotten? You think they actually would have gotten a mistrial on that very factor that the 911 tape was missing?
She opened the door, and you say, open the door, counselor, to the 911. How do I answer that? How do I combat it for my client? They have their Sixth Amendment right to counsel, and I could not come through.
Okay, all right. Let's assume that he says objection overruled, trial goes forward. What about this part of this phone call, Joanna, where he says, babe, I took care of it? Mm-hmm. What about that part for the defense? I got to think that's a big problem. That's just an objection. That's not a super objection. That's just an objection.
Then I'm going down a shot.
Okay.
Little objection.
All right.
The reason for that is that she's just speaking about what she heard. Where's the text message, or where's the call? Where's the phone, and where's the subpoena of the people who run the phone company? Because when I was a former ADA, if you had any phone calls, then you also had to subpoena the people from the telephone company. So just because she's saying it doesn't make it true.
Okay, all right. And you know, there's another factor here. I want to show you guys some sound from this. Karan Ivy also faced a tough line of questioning from the prosecution. Watch their interaction in this. Take a look.
Yeah, that is important to me, that Dr. B shows that he had evidence of sexual abuse.
Now, this is the prosecutor's witness, Mike Brooks. Doesn't that show, or does that show the jury that maybe her case is a little out of control here? That's her witness.
And I thought she badgered her own witness. And, you know, here is the mother of this little girl who possibly was sexually assaulted, sexually abused. And Christina Kowal, she's a pit bull. She's going right after her. And I thought almost to the point, I think we talked about it last week, right, Ryan, a little almost to the point of badgering the woman. And how did that play to the jury? I don't think that played to the jury very well.
Joanna, what do you think?
I think that actually by her doing that, then I agree that I would have just stepped up and said, use this. If I were she, I would have stepped and said that use this as a hostile witness now,
right.
and then go after her. Did she say any of that? No, she
No.
didn't. And we are losing sight of the fact. I don't want to lose sight. We have a 3.5-year-old child that potentially was molested, and you know why she's going after? I'll give the answer for everybody. The reason she's going after is because this woman had potential information that a child was abused, and she did nothing for 2 days. Nothing for 2 days. What mother does nothing for 2 days when you think your baby was just raped? I don't care who it is.
Very big
Baby
fact.
was just raped.
Very big fact. Thank you so much, Joanna. Mike, thank you so much. Well, up next, the defendant takes the stand. It's bound to be compelling testimony. We need you to be our 13th juror. We want to know, what would you ask Jamar Pinckney Sr.? Give us a call, 1-877-JUROR-13. That's 1-877-587-67. We know a lot of you have some strong opinions on this trial, so we asked what kind of objections you would have to what's going on in the courtroom. So let's bring in criminal defense attorney Joanna Greenwald and in-session law enforcement contributor Mike Brooks. They're going to go over with me and overrule or sustain all the objections you've been sending to us. So let's start with the first one. Now, one controversial moment was when the mother of Jamar Pinckney's sister was on the stand. Now, the prosecutor was drilling her with some tough questions.
You're very clear about reading from a medical record and taking it at face value, the term with evidence, correct? That's what you did here on cross-examination, correct?
That's what I said.
Okay, and we agree that that is evidence, according to many other medical records, was not there 36 hours earlier.
Objection, Your Honor.
According to the medical, if you're relying upon them.
Excuse me. She's asking this witness for a medical determination that she is absolutely unqualified to offer.
Well.
All right, Robinson writes, I object, I totally object to the prosecution treating the mother of the 3-year-old victim as if she's the one who committed the crime. Mike, how do you rule on this?
Well, you know, I'm going to have to overrule it because what we were just talking about last time, look, she was trying to get down to the fact of, okay, you know, did she do the right thing? Did she, and I agree with Joe. I'm going to have to agree with Joanna from the last time we talked. So I'm telling you, she was trying to get to the point.
All right, Joanna, what do you think?
I'm afraid lightning was about to hit me. Mr. Brooks just agreed with me? What?
Yeah, imagine
I'm
that.
sorry. Actually, I disagree with Mr. Brooks. In this question, I sustain what the objection was because she is not a medical doctor.
Okay,
She
just
cannot
on that
give an
fact.
opinion.
Okay, all right, makes sense there.
But she had the report. She just was talking about what the doctor told her at the hospital. That's it.
Yes, except that her not just reiterating, but her interpreting it is the problem. The interpretation is the problem. She's not qualified.
Okay, leave that for a medical doctor or some sort of expert in that case. All right, let's get on to the next one. The prosecutor questioned the little girl's mother, Karan Ivy, about why she took her daughter to another doctor. Now, this line of questioning didn't sit well with Karan Ivy. That she believes the pediatrician, but not the ER doctor. Now, Joanna, do you overrule or sustain this objection?
Well, I have a bit of a super objection here.
Okay. Oh, you're objecting to the question, or you're adding an objection on top of the objection?
I'm adding an objection on top of the objection, if that's possible.
All right.
Number one, her first statement is that she's a good mother. She heard that this child told her that she was abused and she waited 5 days to bring her to the ER. Objection. Super objection, comparing, and yes, she is entitled to get a second opinion, but building is, I object to her saying about how she treated her child. Super objection, bad mothering.
Okay,
no.
okay, but what about the objection that our viewer has? Because the idea of the prosecution trying to corner her into saying that, hey, I believe the pediatrician, not the ER doctor, it seems